Hello guys, welcome to another tutorial on the AdminLTE plugin for Appgini. So today we are going to look at how to integrate the inbuilt API in this plugin, this one here, how to integrate it into a mobile application. So assuming you want to build a mobile app, but your backend is basically on the Appgini application that you built. Your Appgini application is hosted somewhere, like for mine, you see it's hosted here. Right, you can access it over the web, but you want to have some functionalities accessed on mobile applications. So it's very simple to do that with the API that we have. So if you click on this link here, the main menu here, the link for Appgini API documentation, you will see this documentation that we have here for this API, Appgini API built on top of the AppginiLTE plugin, AdminLTE plugin. So the API has a lot of functionalities that basically you do on the web application, like the auth, membership registration, getting table data, forgot password functionality, create table record, edit table record, delete table record, change password, update profile, get membership groups, search. You can search through your tables using the API. You can also have your custom functions that you want to do. Maybe you have a particular thing you want to do. You can write functions on your application backend and be able to query them using the API to get the results. Also, you can get record count for each table. So these functionalities are linked to the membership access rights. So if you're getting a table record, table data, for example, for a given user, it will fetch based on the rights that you have been defined in the Appgini application. So to get started, we'll need one thing. So we are going to create an app, and we are not going to write code for it. We are going to use a platform that enables us to create apps very quickly, and the platform is FlutterFlow. So on FlutterFlow, you'll be able to create an app without much coding. Same way Appgini helps you to create your web database applications without much coding. You can only do the coding if you want to do advanced customizations and in the hooks and in other parts. The same thing to this FlutterFlow platform. So you can access FlutterFlow via going to FlutterFlow.io. There you can sign in or create your account if you don't have one. For this case, I already have an account, so you can be able to build mobile applications in Flutter very quickly without writing any code. The good thing is you already have pre-built templates in FlutterFlow, so you can quickly pick any UI template you want and start from there. You can also start from scratch designing your own UIs. It's easy and very friendly. So that's it. So the other thing is you'll need to have purchased this AdminLTE plugin for Appgini. You need to have purchased it and installed it on your Appgini application so that you have this UI here. So this one, if you install the latest version 22.10.26, it comes with the API already inbuilt, so you can use it. Not only can you use it for mobile applications, you can use it for any application. Maybe if you want to build a website front end, like maybe a shop or a blog or a portfolio website. So your data is stored inside here, but you want now to pull it to the front end and display it. You can still use the API to do that very easily without writing a lot of code and customization. The good thing is even the code you write in your hooks, the logic you write in your hooks for insert, update, delete events is also applied on this API automatically. So the API applies those customizations you have used there to also manipulate your data the way you wanted it to. So you don't need to write separate code for validations for your code in hooks separately. So it does that for you automatically. So that being said, we'll proceed to FlutterFlow. So the documentation for the API is here. So the first one we're going to use for this case, we'll just be building a simple login registration application. So you can log into the app, you can validate the user credentials if they are okay or not, and also we can register a user to our application. So that's what we're going to do right now. So the first thing, we go to FlutterFlow. Once you log into your account, you will be taken to your home page here, your dashboard, where you can see your projects. and you can create a new project. So in this case, we're going to create a new project. So we are using the Northwind application. So this one is provided by Appgini. This Northwind is an open source application by Appgini where you can run. You see the data that is there, and you can also add your own data if you want to add. So I will just proceed to create an app here, create a new app. Then we call it Northwind app. Okay. So you see here you can pick templates for your app. If you want to quickly get started, you can just pick a template here that you want. There's several templates here that you can do. These templates have, you know, screens on them already. See, like you see, if you this one you highlight, you see 25 screens in there. So those screens are different screens for login, register, dashboards, and other pages based on the theme of the and the functionality of the application. So for our case here, we won't start with the template. We'll just start with a new blank app. So we have a Northwind app created there. So we don't want to set up Firebase for application because we'll be using our own authentication using our API to do the authentication. So that's it. So say start building. And that's it. So the first thing we need to do is now build our pages. So if you want to build a page, like now we don't want to build the login page, so we'll come here. So on this tab here to page selector, then click on this button here for new page. So we do that, then we say give it the name login page. So also for the pages, you can also pick templates for the pages, so you don't need to start. You can also, if you want to design your own custom page with your components and the way you want, you can create a new blank page here. But for this case, because we want to do it quickly, we'll just choose a pre-built template for the auth page, login page. So we can scroll through all this. You can see you have several templates for that. Okay, so let's see which one we can use for this case. Let's see. Can use this one for this case. So these pages, you'll find that in most cases there's some functionality already built in them in these custom templates. These templates, you see there's some functionality already built in them. So you may find errors. You see here, if you click there, you'll be able to see all the errors that your application has. So if your application has errors here, it will not be able to run. Okay, so it will not be able to run here. So we need to fix those errors first. So let's just go here and see what, like this one say auth page. So we don't need auth page just because auth is for Firebase. So we're just going to disable that right there. So if you click on the login page, you'll see there's an action here for auth. So we don't want that action because we'll put our custom action there. Delete action, remove. Okay, so the errors should reduce now. We have 7 auth page. Okay, so auth, we still have other auth actions. On these buttons here, they put some other auth actions. We need to remove them. So we remove the Google. So remove this one here. So remove that one. Okay. So this one does it have an action? So no action there. So we still have 3 more. So property override. Okay. So these ones we can do this one here. We can remove this one. That one. Then we can put text here. Put text in this row. You can say just put our text here, say north wind up. Then we can adjust the size of this text here and say we want it to be a bit bigger. We can also change the size. Okay, I think that's okay for a basic app now. Then we have one more error here. Widget configuration max lines must be 1 for password fields. This one will take us to this field here. Oh, password. No. Okay, let's see. Okay. So this one must be 1. Okay. So that's it. So let's say for this one we want to have a username input. So this one will just rename it to username. Input. It's okay. Then we change the placeholder there. Say enter label text should be username. Then this is just part of the design of the UI, and we haven't started dealing with the API, so we're just trying to design the UI to be what we want it to be. So we say enter username. That's it. So let's go to this one. So as password input. It's okay. You go to this and I say password, enter your password here. Okay, that's perfect. So these are the things we won't touch, because right now the functionality we want to focus on is just login. Okay, so if you go to our API authentic documentation here, you see the auth login. So this one you'll hit the endpoint with AppginiLTE API/auth. So this is the part that will depend on your application. So for this one, for example, my application is hosted right here. Okay, so this is the path to my application. So if I want to hit the API, I'll go to AppginiLTE API/auth. Okay, that's how I'll hit my application auth endpoint. So my API auth endpoint. So that's what you do for all your applications, and your application should be hosted online for this to work. Alright, it can be accessed over the web. So for the APIs to work in here, so we'll go to Postman. So this one you can actually run this in Postman. Okay, so I have already in Postman here. I already have this, so you can see here it is superherokenya.com northwind /AppginiLTE/API/auth. So you provide the username and the password. The same way you log into the application, you provide in the API as the parameters. Now in the body of this API request, you provide the username and the password. Then you do send the request. So when the request comes, the response comes, and if it's successful, you'll see the status will be true here, and in the response body you'll get error 0 message, user authenticated successfully, user data. Who's the user data? The member ID, email, group ID, custom one, the custom fields, the sign up data, and the access token. So this access token will be very important, as we'll be using it to do subsequent API requests, because in a subsequent API request we won't be using the password, just be providing the admin, the username, and the access token. So this access token you'll need to save it somewhere or copy it somewhere in your application lifecycle. If you save it in a state somewhere where it will be used when the user is still logged in your app, so you can save it and be using it. We'll see how to do that in our application. but this is the data that will be returned. Okay, so for this case we want to come to our FlutterFlow. So here we are. So we want to register our first API for login. Okay, so we'll look on this menu right here. You'll come to this this menu for API calls. Click on it, then you say define API call. So we have no API call right here, so you haven't added any API yet. So click add API call above to add your first one. So we click on this button here. So we create an API group because we're going to have several ones for auth, for registration, and several others. So create an API group, call it Northwind APIs. That way, then we provide our base URL. So the base URL is the one that is not going to change frequently, the one that will be hitting. So for this case, our base URL will be this one now, up to here, there. So but this last part will be changing based on what, because we have auth register, so that will be changing. So the base one will be this. This will remain constant. So the base URL will put it there, like that. So for the headers, also you can define our headers here. For example, content type application JSON. So we can just have it there already defined. So we can just come to here and see the code. So in our code here, you can be able to see the headers. Okay, let's check. Let's check here. So these are our headers. So just copy that, put it there, and that's it. So add group. So our group has been set. So we want to create our first API in this group. So add API call. So give it a name. We say auth. So here we will say goes to auth. Right, the endpoint is auth. Then we have no headers here. It is a post request. You must take note of that because here in the API documentation it's post. Okay, so it goes to auth. So we have username and password. So we have to take those two parameters, pass them there. So we say body. Body, we need it to be JSON. Perfect. Then we need our variables. So for our variables, we need the username. Type is text or a string here. It's not a list, full value, no. Then we had another one, password. So this one is a string. Okay. So if you go to our body here, you can now have our username. That the same normal way we just define our JSON and password. So the only difference now here will be now the value part of this JSON. We'll just drag the variable that we created and put it there, like here. So this will be dynamically filled in. You know, as you interact with the app and the request is sent, it will pick the values that will be passed into this. So that's it. Okay. So once you've defined your parameters here, variables in the JSON format, so we are good to go here. So we can add a call. You can add the call. So this call has been saved here. You can access it in that group. So all we need to do is do a test. Okay. So for our case here, the username is admin, and the password is this. So we copy this, this will represent in actual sense, in a practical sense, where the user will log in and type in their credentials, so they will be passed into this automatically. So that's it. So once you provided your values there for the username and password, you test the API call here. Okay, so it will return a response. A response will be returned here. So you see status 200 success, and you see our response body there. So that will be it. So you can be able to now to save these paths, the JSON paths. You know, in FlutterFlow you can save the JSON paths that you can use now to do checks based on the response that you've gotten. So for this case, we want to select error. We need to know if there's an error. If there's an error, this value will be 1. If there's no error, it will be 0. So we want to select the message. Then we want to save the member ID, the email, the group ID, and these custom values that we do have from the API. You can select whichever we want and the access token. So these values are the ones we want to save as our JSON path. So JSON path will enable us to access those values. So here, if you come back here on the selected paths, so we need to name them, give them names that we can use in our application. So we say here, we say response error, we say response message, we call it auth message, and we call it member ID, so we call it, let's call it email, we call it group ID, call it, this one we can call it full name, call it title, reg, call it phone, sign up, date. This one is access token. So this is it. We have our JSON path saved here. So we just need to save this. Okay. So these ones will access them later on when we are now doing the logic to make API request. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to create some local states that to store access token and to store the error. Okay, so let's go here. So create another local state variable. So local state is just those values on your device, just locally on your device. So these variables, you can access them, you can destroy them or create them as you please. So this is it. So this one we call it access token. We'll use this one to store the access token when the user logs in successfully. Be a string, it's not a list, it's not persisted, it can change. So persisted means the value will just stay there. Even the user logs out, the value will stay there. But for this case, access token will change because the user can change their password. That means the access token can also change. So create, then we say is error. So is error, it will be an integer. So persisted is yes. So is error is what we are doing. So we go to store the value of an error. The value of an error will be 1, right? So okay, we say as string, the value of an error will be 1. So is error is 1. So we use it to compare and check. So like here, so we say as error is 1. We'll store this one. as 1 so that we use it. So if we get 1 from the API and compare with C is the same as this, we know that's an error. If you get 0, we know that's not an error. So I think for now we can store that. Then we can store also the username. Okay, we can store their email. Okay, we can store their group ID. Okay, that's enough for this part. So let's go back to our UI, log in there. So we have tested, we have created the API right there. We have tested it works. We have stored the JSON paths. We have created local states here to save our data once the user is logged in. So we see here we have the username, we have the password. So the first thing is to put some action now on this button. So we want when the user clicks login, it checks username and password that the user submits. So the user should submit a value for these two. So we'll come here to, if you click on this login button here, then come to this actions, then add action. So you can add an action from here, or you can have a detailed action page. So if you want a detailed one, you can just come to this, open. Very good. So we want to add our actions here. 2 conditions here. If you click on them, so we've said we could do first condition first to check if the username input is empty. The username is empty. That is a condition. First value is the username input equal to blank there. The second value, or the password input. So if either of these is empty, right, we want to do something, show an alert to the user that they need to provide both the username and the password. So what you do is come here, the condition. So you use on this one, say conditions, single condition, first value, you set, click and say here, then say widget state, choose the username inputs that we see that we have there. Second value, say set specific value and leave it blank here, confirm. So that's the same case for the password, say confirm here. So if you do that, then true, when any of those is empty, we do add an action here, alert dialog, that has a title of oops, then the message says please provide both username and password. So that is it. So the app has run here. So if we do come here and say leave those blank and log in, see, says oops, provide both username and password. That's the same message that we specified in here, in this dialog here, see? Yes. So but if you provide both of them, if you provide this one, anything here, login, so there's no action that we have specified now if both are provided actually. So that's it for this. Okay, so we can actually just close these actions here. Okay, so that's it. If you want to run, you just press this icon here, this flash icon here, to test your app. So it opens in test mode here. You see the session will expire in 4 minutes. So the next thing we want to do is to make an actual API call now. So when this is clicked and we have come here on our actions, we've seen if those are empty, we alert the user. Then we can terminate this one from here, actually say terminate, because we don't want to proceed anything. So apart from if both password and username are available, we add an action here. So we say add action, and from our actions here we say API call. Okay, so we will say backend API call, then group. So we specify a group. So we have Northwind APIs that we created earlier. The endpoint name is author. So all the list of the endpoints we'll create will come here on this list. So for now we only have auth. Okay, then we say a variable. So we want to set the variable for the username. Says, so we say from variable, then we select widgets that username input. So it will pick the value that a user has inputted as our username value. Then we add another variable here for password. We specify the value from a variable. We set from the widgets that password input. That's it. So the action output for this will be this. We'll be using API result that, but we can give it any other name that we do wish. So we can say auth API response and give it anything we want so that you can use it. You use the auth API response now, values from the API response to do whatever else you want to do. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so that's it. Let's see, the error we're getting here says conditional actions must have a true or false conditions. Okay, so we come here to this. So this is a condition, like it says if this one is succeeded, the condition, the action for, so if it was not successful, we can just say, just show a dialog here to the user. So then something went wrong, so it means the API was not successful. Okay, let's just scroll down to dialog here, that dialog here. We say the title, oops, the message says something went wrong, try again later. Okay, so that's it. So if that's if the API call fails. See we provide this, the condition, but if it succeeds, means the API call was actually made and we got a response from the API. So here is where now we want to get the values from our API and be able to know if the user's logged in or not, or was successfully authenticated or not. So we add action here. We can add a conditional now to check the values of the API. Okay, add conditional. So here we come and say the condition we want is to check if we have an error. So just quick one. If we have an error, so if the value of our local state we have, let's see, so let's see, we could say action outputs. So action outputs now is the output of the API response that we have. So let's say this one, JSON body, JSON path. So from the path that we have, and we say response error. Okay, so if response error, confirm. Actually, we don't need this. So let's cancel that. Let's just put a single condition there. Single condition here. So if this, let's see, local state. So if is error equal to action output that JSON body, JSON path, response error. So if we have the same values, of which the value that we stored was 1. So if you have 1 from the API, that means there was an error. If they are true here, so we say your previous login attempt failed. So you can say here, let's say alert dialog. So this one means the user was not authenticated successfully. So you can say here, say your previous login. Also, we can also set a value from the message from the API so that the user sees what the API returned as a message. This is from variable here. Actually, that's better. So action outputs, auth response, JSON body, JSON path. Then we say what message. Actually, so the user can actually see what the API says, not as JSON what it said. So that's it. So, but if it is successful, the user logged in successfully, we will do this. We will set the value of our local state. So we say local state let's see local. So we say update local state here. So add field. So the field we want to do is access token. So access token, we want to set it. So we say username. Okay, then we add another email. Then we add another field called group ID. That's it. So set field. So these fields we want to set their values. So we set from set value from variable. Then we say from action output. So whatever the API returned to us is what we want to set. So this one is access token. So we go to this JSON body, JSON path. See access token. Access token is that. Confirm. Okay, so that's access token. We are done with it. Go to username. Say set value from variable. Then say action outputs. JSON body. JSON path. Custom. This should be member ID here. Confirm. Okay, so this is we're just storing the values of the user from the API into a local state. So we set the value here. Value source variable from action outputs. API response. JSON body. JSON path. Then this one is the email. Okay, confirm. Okay, then the last one is the group ID. To set a value from variable, and variable is from action output. JSON body, JSON path. Then we say group ID. Nice. So we are done with that. So that's it. So after you have updated the local state, we can now add an action to redirect to the home page. Navigate to home page. So the user successfully logged in. So we navigate them to the login page, to the home page actually. So that's it actually. So you can now see, now terminate this one here. To get to the home page, terminate. Then this one here needs termination. Okay. Close. So that's it. So let's see, our session expired here, so we can just run another session. So we have our tests up and running here. So our test mode. So we can put the username here. So we can put admin. So let's just try put a wrong password. Okay, and login. So it's making the API call there. Then login attempt failed. Try again. So this means the API request was successful, and you actually got a response. So the response is here. Okay. Nice. So let's try now put in the correct password and see what happens. There we go. We are logged in successfully. So once we're logged in successfully, we'll be taken to the home page. Okay. So from the home page now, you can do other things now inside the home page. At least we have now authenticated a user successfully, has come onto the home page. So the next part will be to register a user, and because the login part is complete, so we'll create a register screen where the user can submit their details and register. Then that's it. So we'll look at how now we can customize the homepage to display the information of the user on the homepage.